on ESPN. Deshaun Watson is just 2 days from his first game in nearly 2 years. Watson coming off an 11-game suspension for violating the league's personal conduct policy and will make his Browns debut against his former team, the Houston Texans. Here's Watson addressing the media yesterday.
I'm focusing on just being the starting quarterback and executing the game plan. That's my main focus. I'm not, worried about the atmosphere. I got to go in and make sure I execute the game plan.
Deshaun, part of your agreement with the league was to undergo counseling and therapy while you were away. What did you learn about yourself during that time?
I respect your question, I understand, but that's more in that phase of clinical and legal stuff. And, I've been advised to, stay away from that and keep that personal.
CRC, Matt Patricia isn't the only one taking notes. Pencil ready to go. All in. Deshaun Watson. Stephen A., I'll start with you. How has he handled this whole thing so far?
Stupidly. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in this business for many years, and obviously, I've made my share of mistakes, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes. I mean, when you're on live television, there ain't no 7-second delay, no tape delay or whatever. You arguing with people, you speaking extemporaneously. You're going to say stuff, you're going to make mistakes. Damn it, that's the way that it goes. If RC or Swagoo made those mistakes and they came to me to ask my advice, I'd be like this, get it over with. Don't give them room. I would have walked up to that press conference from day one, Wednesday, when the quarterback started. You know what I would have said, guys? I'm here. Let's go. Don't ask after today. But feel free. Fire away. Because the suspension is over. The legal matters for the most part. I don't know if there's one more case, but the legal matters for the most part are over. You've been suspended. Your name has been raked through the coals. Everybody been talking about you. Everybody been in your business. I mean, you listen. And clearly it's self-inflicted. Ain't nobody trying to absolve him. I'm not going there. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you've been through what you've been through. What you don't do is prolong people to continue to look for answers you can immediately provide and then get it over with. By doing what he did, first of all, you ain't there on Wednesday. For when quarterbacks are talking to the media. And then secondly, you come there another day. When you do that, you prolong, you foment the issue to such a degree that people continue to come at you. And somehow, some way, everybody's looking for the story. You take the story away. I'm giving media advice right now. You take the story away. Whatever I can say, of course, there's going to be things your lawyers don't want you to say. There's going to be things your therapist don't want you to say, whatever. What I'm saying is whatever you can say, that's all I'm talking about here, guys. Whatever you can say, I'm here today. We ain't going to spend the rest of this season and me coming back and forth with y'all answering these questions. We're going to get it over with now. Ask away.
But what if you just set the precedent that you're not going to answer any questions? So then there's I'm asking your question. I want to ask you. So if you just decide, hey, I'm not going to speak on it at all. It's done. I'm moving forward, and I'm just focusing on football. I'm not going to acknowledge it. Don't you think that's less of a story?
You know why? You know why I say no, guys?
Yeah.
And I'll say, and this is just me, because you know that inevitably when people keep nudging at you, eventually you're gonna give up something. Because the patience to avoid the issue as you're continuously bombarded with something. At some point, it's always happened. I know, go ahead, RC, I'll give you the floor. I know y'all might disagree, but what I'm telling you is there is evidence repeatedly throughout history that if people keep getting nudged, at some point in time, they implode and then they give up something that they don't need to give up. When you hold it in.
I think the problem with allowing people to ask you questions, Stephen A., and I think what's flawed in the way you see it is that you think when they ask one question, they're going to stop. Or to think that there's anything that Deshaun Watson can say that will ever change the perceptions that have already been formed by everyone in that room, by everyone that looks at Deshaun Watson. For those who think Deshaun Watson is guilty, he's never going to be able to fix that. He's never going to be able to change that perception. To this day, I can't speak on a quarterback without having someone on Twitter or some fan ask me about playing with Ben Roethlisberger when he had these sort of allegations. This will never go away from Deshaun Watson, for Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson stood up there and answered every single question yesterday about what happened in the past, they would have a question that they would have to ask from the way that he answered. Every time he opens his mouth and he talks about the allegations levied against him, it's going to just lead to another question. It's going to lead to something else written about Deshaun Watson in whatever way people want to frame the narrative. Now, we can be mad as the media, or you can be mad as those who feel like they can profit from Deshaun Watson saying something, or that feel like they can continue to pile on him if he says something. The best thing Deshaun Watson can do is say, I'm not answering any questions but football questions. And we've seen many of people throughout sports do this. Say, I'm only going to answer questions that pertain to what's happening on the grass, or that pertain to what's happening in my line of work. And you can continue to ask, and you can continue to ask, but they do not have to answer. The other thing is this. You're speaking about this going away for Deshaun Watson. 10 of the women involved in the lawsuit are going to be at that stadium. I've watched people protest Michael Vick for dogfighting for for the remainder of his career. People still bring that up as it pertains to Michael Vick. This is never going away. Deshaun Watson will never have peace as it pertains to what he has just gone through and to what the 25 accusers have also had to endure. And so for me, I think Deshaun Watson did exactly what he needed to do, which was protect himself in this situation from digging any deeper of a hole perception-wise.
I'm going to respond to that, but let Swagoo go first. Go ahead, Swagoo.
Well, I fall in the middle because I understand what both of you all are saying. Yesterday, we talked about this on NFL Live, and I said at some point, Deshaun is going to have to acknowledge something. And I think that's what Stephen A. is getting at. I don't think it should be an admission of guilt. And I understand what you're saying as well, RC, about how people will continue to dig. I think the most important thing when we start talking about this, and for people to understand that's watching us, is we're not trying to decipher Deshaun Watson's emotions or how he feels when he's standing up there. And we're not trying to decipher how these women should respond or how they feel. Because we get kind of lumped in with all of that when we give an opinion about what should happen or transpire in this particular situation. For me, I fall more in between where both of you guys are. I understand, RC, what you're saying about these questions will only continue to breed more questions. But I'm also in line with Stephen A. when he says address something or whatever you can. We understand legality. We understand there's a process and a procedure. But I think in a way, all right, whenever you decide, because these cases were settled, and let's just be honest, when you settle things, people are going to obviously think that something went wrong and there was foul play. All right, and I know everybody been scared to say that and dancing around it, but that is what it is. I've said time and time again.
See, your voice is low.
These things were
your voice is low. Okay,
excuse me.
Make sure. No, RC, he was saying something, but your voice was really, really low. Okay, go ahead.
In conversations with people off camera, in conversations with you guys, y'all, this is me. This is Marcus Spears speaking for me on First Take.
Sure.
If this was lies on me, I would fight the rest of my life to prove that it was lies. There would be no money handed out. There would be nothing that comes from this outside of me fighting and going broke to clear everything that's been said about me. So with that being said out there, I think there's a factor or an element to this where at some point Deshaun Watson has to acknowledge whatever transpired in his mind or whatever, however he looks at this situation.
Remember, he spoke to Aditi Kinkhabwala. He did acknowledge it. He's spoken a couple of times on camera now.
But Molly Q, there is an element to when you return to the most visible game in the world that will be
so you want it now that he's playing again.
But there
will
isn't,
be
though,
more
y'all.
onus put on that.
This isn't about guilt and innocence anymore. But yet it's not about
I'm not
guilt and innocence anymore. A grand jury decided that there wasn't going to be enough evidence where they were going to indict. And so now it moved to the civil cases, which is about money. It's about assigning a monetary value to the hurt and to the pain, or to whatever degree that Deshaun Watson has inflicted pain on the people that, or in this case at least, are levying the allegations. I think we are past that. We are past the actual situation. We are past the actions that happened in rooms and happened in places that we weren't there for. Now we're talking about moving forward, what Deshaun Watson has to do. And Deshaun Watson does not have to answer questions.
But RC, that is why when Stephen A say, I'm saying this and that's it, because you are returning to the game, I agree with that. Because what you're saying is basically what you just said, RC, is basically what SA was saying in the beginning. Hey, man, I am back in football. I know I'm going to be standing in front of a camera every single week as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. This is my first opportunity as the starting quarterback that's going to see live action, that will have to come to this